Everybody, and welcome to Disruptor Discussions Masterclass. My name is Jennifer Fry, and I am your hostess today with our guest, Kat Orsini, one of my favorite humans. I'm so excited to hand things over to her to share all of her good wisdom with you because, man, I've learned so much from Kat. Give you guys a little bit of a background. I have a business called Appreciated Asset Business Solutions, founded in 2018. So we are now entering September, officially entering our 7th year in business, which is super exciting. Lucky number 7. We have a done for you and done with you prospecting strategy and appointment setting services that we do for our clients. So essentially what we do is create, build, and fill sales pipelines for industry disruptors. And I've been doing that since we started this business, and super excited to be entering the next year of this journey. Disruptor discussions, what are we doing here today? So our mission at Appreciated Asset is to create a ripple effect and help other really incredible business solutions grow with our efforts. And our purpose is to change the narrative about sales, change what it can look like, what it should look like, and really give these incredible disruptors a stage, a platform, if you will, as we are here to highlight those ways that they're disrupting the industry, highlight the ways that they are changing and challenging the status quo of what that industry standard is, and committed businesses that are so committed to delivering service that is so far superior to anything else out there that it's apples and oranges. So that's what we do. And that's what Disruptor Discussions is all about. Because as much as we help our clients grow their businesses through our efforts of the outsourced done for you appointment setting, we also have come across so many incredible experts over the years who are also helping businesses grow through their own expertise. So I wanted to create this masterclass where every week we come on live with a new expert to share how their area of expertise helps businesses grow. Because here's the deal, there are 0 problems that more revenue cannot solve in a business. 0 business problems. Most life problems too, by the way, but that's a whole nother show. But back to business. If we know that there's no problems that more revenue can't solve in a business, then shouldn't that be our focus when we're helping businesses grow? Finding more ways to find revenue. And there's a lot of expertise beyond our own that we come in and highlight for you guys every single week. So I'm going to hand things over to Kat. Before I do, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about what's new with us, an Appreciated Asset. I've been sharing kind of with you every week something new that we've got going on, but this time I'm going to share something that I've been doing since January that has been really exciting and has just snowballed for me, and I'm excited to share it. So I heard about New Year's resolutions, and such a weird thing to talk about New Year's resolutions in September, right? But it's the Jewish New Year coming up, so maybe this fits. So I read this thing earlier in the year, maybe at the end of 2023, about how resolutions are always about like sacrifice or something that's not fun. And what if we made resolutions about really fun things that we're doing, fun things that we're committing to? So I decided my New Year's resolution was going to be to try a new thing every single week of the year and then share that with everyone. So whether that's like a new recipe, a new trip, a new restaurant, a new skill, whatever, something new every single week of the year. And I started this in January, and we've been doing it. And you guys, sometimes my posts are like, this year, or this week we went to a concert of someone I'd never seen in concert before. And sometimes it was, this week we went to the Olympics in Paris, which is something I'd never done before. So some are huge, and some are trying a recipe that I had never used before. So it doesn't have to always be big, but it's about always keeping fresh and new things in your world, and also looking for ways to stay out of your ruts, looking for ways to bring in new and experience new things and create new experiences and core memories for yourself and your family. So highly recommend on my Instagram, which I have, guys, it's like tens of followers. But on my Instagram, I'm sharing this in a highlight called 52 New Things. And I encourage you to look at ways that you can do that for yourself. Okay, Kat. Kat and I met in a networking group. Gosh, 3 years ago, 3 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was I think it was 2021. Was it
Yeah, yeah,
October 2021?
yeah,
Yeah.
probably. So,
Yep.
and we're just like instant chemistry and instant alignment. And she just immediately became one of my favorite people because Kat stands in such a genuine space for her clients, and she shows up for them in a way where there's absolutely no smoke and mirrors. She is the real deal. And she delivers strategies for her clients and helps them come up with strategies for creating more leads in their business. So obviously you guys can see the alignment as to why we got along so well. The other thing I love about Kat is she is all about collaboration over competition, which is something that I have learned to embrace in my business. It's not something I've always embraced. And man, life gets so good when you see that alignment and learn ways to support each other, and know that you each stand in your own strength, right? I'm going to share this because I just pulled it off the wall so you can see the tape. This is from a couple years ago. Kat and I got in a phone booth or photo booth one evening with our friend Danielle and had so much fun. And I can't wait to see her again next month. I always have this in front of me because I always love to think about fun things that I get to do with my business peeps. So thank you for being part of that awesome memory. Kat Orsini is an organic marketing and lead generation force multiplier. Creator of the firework experiences, she focuses her strategies to support service providers to shorten their sales cycles by attracting ideal clients into one place that spark conversations that lead to more high-ticket sales. Choose from over 23 firework experiences to create your own leveraged, unique, and reputable process to keep your pipeline full and hit your revenue targets predictably without requiring all your time. So I love that. Again, I hope you all see the alignment that Kat and I have, and I'm so, so happy to have you here in what I suppose is my firework experience, right?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So in full transparency. So Kat, why don't you start by sharing a little bit about how you got here and how the firework experiences came about for you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So caveating this with, I've been recently diagnosed with ADHD. So a lot of my world is being re-revealed to me in that sense. So there might be some oversharing and going down rabbit holes. So just follow the bouncing ball.
Welcome to my world. They're used to me, so I think you'll be
Right?
okay.
It's all of us. Yeah, I used to say I was TikTok diagnosed. Now it's actually official. One of my favorite starts is I am medicated, caffeinated, and ready to go. So how I got here was, well, I have my MBA from University of Maryland, looking at that 100K piece of paper on the wall. I was working in a large consulting firm and my soul was dying. And, I was living someone else's dream and I was achieving all kinds of accolades. I was getting promoted and it was everything that I was supposed to have done in order to be successful. And it just did not feel right. And so basically I went down a path of trying to figure out how to infuse more passion and purpose in my entire being. And so trying to make a long story short, basically I got my coaching certification through that kind of discovery process and started my business. And I was still working in the consulting firm. And basically, as I was achieving more and more success, people kept coming to me and saying, how are you getting these coaching clients? And so I kind of meshed both worlds around this kind of, strategic consulting and, coaching modality. And then I made the investments. I made the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50K investments with the bro marketers. And I never got anything further than just always writing out my $1 million business on paper. And so that paper didn't produce the green paper, which was the revenue that they always promised. And so I am a box checker. Tell me what to do and I will do it and I will ask questions. So it wasn't for lack of implementation or focus or dedication or commitment on my part. So I finally made one last investment and I was able to figure out how to generate leads more effectively for high ticket sales, because what I was doing in the coaching space was still low ticket, right? And I hadn't figured out all the marketing components. So I basically then started looking at, I hated how I was running my business. It was constant hustle, constant grind. I would spend like 3 months going hardcore and then spend 3 months recovering from the burnout, and then just be in this constant repetitive cycle of up and down, up and down, up and down. And I was like, I can't sustain like this for the rest of my life. So I was like, I am no longer going to work with a certain kind of client. I'm going to work with this kind of client. And universe was like, okay, cool. And lit a match and burned my business down. So for 6 months, I was able to sell all of nothing, even though I was marketing, even though I was doing all the right things, it just wasn't clicking. And so I basically looked at my whole approach and was like, yeah, this oozes bro marketing energy, and I can't keep trying to fix something that's broken. So I erased everything and I rewrote the whole template, the whole approach, the whole structure, and came up with the concept around firework experiences. Now, there are 23 different strategies, and there's nuances and variations that I could easily keep counting, and I would count over 100 if I did that. But basically, there's these 23 very unique approaches. And when I looked at them, I said, well, only certain ones are going to work if you like doing it. Because there's this really complicated concept around, I really believe that if you like doing something, you'll do it. And so a lot of times that's why people aren't marketing, because they're doing a strategy they hate. They don't like doing it. And so they're going to find all kinds of reason not to. So I'm all about making the sale easier. So if you do something you already enjoy doing, then you're likely going to do it. So that starts limiting the number of strategies that are going to work for you. And then we look at, what are your ideal clients going to respond to? Because a Fortune 100 CEO isn't going to respond and engage with the same strategy as someone who's brand new in their career, or a very established multi-billion-dollar business isn't going to respond to the same strategy necessarily as someone who's just starting out. And so I looked at what they were, and I started categorizing the strategies into these different buckets. And so what happens is when you identify the one or two things that you enjoy doing and the one or two things that your ideal clients will respond to, then you're only going to have 2 or 3 strategies that will ever work. And once we start connecting them and creating an experience, moving from one to the next, that's what shortens the sales cycle. Because what we're doing is we're helping remind that person that this is a priority for them. If they go through an experience with you and they still determine that it's not a priority, they're not wrong for that. You're not wrong for it. They just need time. And so what we want to do is create community around us. Your pipeline is full of people who said no, not right now. Whether they said no to your face in a conversation, or they said no to your invitation, or no to your content, or no to your workshop, or no to whatever it is that you've put out there. But they haven't disappeared. But the thing is we want to know their face and their name, because if we know their name, we can intentionally nurture them. But most of us are having these conversations with people who are saying, oh, I've been following you for years. And you're like, who the hell are you? I have never seen your name. I did not know you were following me. Where did you come from? And how many more of you are hiding out there? So we want to give people more power in their business, more intentionality, more focused effort to produce bigger results. And that's what a firework experience does. Now, how do I tell the difference between a firework experience and something else? If you're not getting the results and the conversion that you want, you probably are playing with a sparkler. Now, it looks a little bit like a firework. You're kind of just playing with yourself. Maybe a couple people around you are paying attention, but a firework experience is leveraged. It attracts a lot of people, and it's how you have more conversations without having to have one-on-one calls, and help people come to that decision so that when they book a call, they're ready to buy. And they're not just tire kicking still. And they're not wrong for tire kicking, but we have to leverage your time more effectively, because you don't have time to constantly be having conversations with tire kickers.
For sure. Thank you so much for that. One thing that you mentioned, which resonated so much for me when you're talking about the bro marketing that you kind of came up with,
Yeah.
because I certainly did too. That's how I was trained in
Oh,
sales,
yeah. The only way.
like the straight line close. And
One call closes. You don't have to close on a call. You don't have to spend money on ads. You don't have to have a million steps in your funnel. Like, you can do it your way.
right. So talk to us about that, because and before we do, I want to mention, if anyone else out there has questions, wants to chat in here, wants to chime in with questions or specifics for Kat, please do so in the chat. We'll go ahead and get to those. We are going to talk in some real specifics about these firework experiences, because I want to talk about how you have them categorized
Yeah.
and how someone would go about choosing what works for them.
Yeah.
So do we choose based on, you said based on like what you like and then where your people are. But what about based on what you've done in the past? How does that factor in?
So most of us have a firework experience. So like this is a firework experience. I've seen you do workshops, right? I've seen you speak on stage. I've seen you be hosting a podcast and being a guest on podcasts. All of those are firework experiences. Now here's the thing. It's not enough to have a strategy. You have to have a strategy behind the strategy. So I see, for example, like speakers go on stage, they speak, and then they do a pitch to something, and then they go to the next speaking thing, and they're leaving all of this opportunity on the table because they don't have a system, structure, process on the back end that supports nurturing people. So you want to be able to answer the question, what's next? It's not enough to have a firework experience. You have to know how to deliver it in a way that solves a small problem that makes someone a better buyer. So a lot of times what I see people doing is, I'm going to solve all your problems. I'm going to give you all this information because I need you to know how smart I am. Well, that's about you. That's not about your ideal client. And so now you've made it all about you, and no one wants to watch that. It's not about know, like, and trust in terms of people know, like, and trusting you. That's not when people buy. People buy when they feel that you like them, that you trust them to do the work, and that you know them in such a way that they almost don't realize that you're in their head, right? When they have that epitome of, oh shit, she actually really knows my problem. She knows how to solve my thing. She has the case studies. She knows that I'm going to do the right person. She knows how to qualify who she's going to work with and who she's not. That's when you create that consistency in terms of buyers. And so it's really, it's not this one-way street of them feeling that way. They have to know that you know, like, and trust them through your marketing, your messaging, your experiences, the value that you're providing. You can't stay superficial and above water with the value that you're driving, but you also don't want to create this dependency that they're going to get everything for free. And
Yeah,
so
I see people make that mistake all the time.
it's a balance, right? But
So
you
tell me
have to
about the
create
solving of
that
problems.
intentionality in terms of the experience. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I want to dive in. You got two women here with ADHD diagnosed in adulthood, so best of luck to the audience.
Right.
I'd like to dive into how do you know what problem to solve? I love how you're talking like solve a little problem.
Yeah,
Because I think that's also digestible. I
right.
think sometimes it's not just giving away all the information, but people get overwhelmed of like
And
where to
that actually
start.
does a lot of damage because what happens is if you're delivering value and you're overwhelming someone, and I mean overwhelming by accident, there are times where it's strategic to overwhelm someone,
Mhm.
but you have to be careful with that card. But if you overwhelm someone in that way, or you give them homework to do, meaning there's things that they need to complete before they could have a call with you, what you've done is instead of giving someone an appetizer, you've given them a whole meal. They are satisfied, they're satiated, they're going to go home and take a nap. It doesn't matter if you have this most amazing dessert, you gave them too much. They can't actually eat anymore. And so you really want to be careful with what you're giving people in terms of those solutions as part of it. And it's actually what I work with my clients on. I don't just say, hey, go do a workshop. I actually work with them on what is that first teaching moment? What is the exercise that goes with it? Same thing for teaching moment 2 and 3. And then what's the call to action? Those things need to align and give an experience because otherwise you're putting all this effort in, and this is what I'm seeing. The inputs aren't equal to the outputs. And ultimately, what I want to do is have the inputs be greater than
Right.
the inputs. And so what I mean is I always use the analogy of throwing a free throw shot. So you can sit there and say, I wish I could throw 200 free throws in a row. And that would be awesome and amazing. And you can sit there and you can look at the basket and you can look at the ball and you can keep imagining doing it, but you're not actually going to get the ball in the basket unless you get up, get on the free throw line and start shooting. And guess what? You're probably going to miss.
Mhm.
200 times at least. And you're going to miss most of this next set of 200. But when you start practicing and having someone like me course correct and say, shift this, optimize this, input this, right? Then you're still putting the effort in, but now more of your inputs, right? More of your effort is producing a result. More of your shots are getting made, where then you create that 200 consistency. And it happens over and over and over again. And you get up every morning and you know what my job is to do is to go to the free throw line. I'm going to pick up the ball and I'm going to shoot the ball. It's not to go around and start playing hockey or start going to play soccer or start playing another sport because my ADHD brain wants a different dopamine hit, right? We have to really look at, are you disciplined? Are you showing up consistently? The thing is most of us know what to do, we're just not doing it. And so we've got to manage our brains in a way to create structure, to create the dopamine, to create the excitement factor, to create the novelty, to create the urgency for ourselves that help us show up so that people can see us. How many times has one of us listening here today gone on stage on a podcast or whatever it is, and someone immediately comes up after you and goes, oh my God, I love your energy. I have to figure out some way to work with you, or I want to have a follow-up call, right? Your opportunity is to recreate that in a leverage modality in the online space. People need to experience you or they don't know what value you bring. If you market the same way that every other person markets, the likelihood is your ideal client has already invested in solving this problem. So if you're marketing like everybody else, they're not going to invest with you because you're no different. You have to stand out. And the best way to stand out is to be your damn self. And you need to put nomenclature around how you talk about what you do, or you're not going to be any different. There is nobody else out there who does firework experiences. So I can put whatever price tag I want on my services because you cannot compare me to anybody else out there in the entire world.
Yeah, same. And that's the same with us with lead gen, right? Like we don't have direct competition.
Right.
And so there's something about carving an expertise for yourself that no one else can compare to. There's, of course, there's other lead generation out there. There's other, podcast opportunities or speaking coaches and of
Right.
course there's that, but you're right, no one's packaging like this. I want to clarify, you said don't give someone homework before meeting with you. Right? Okay, I love this, and I'm going to tell you why. First of all, as someone who sets appointments, for a living, and my success is often dependent on those people showing up. The easier you make it for someone to work with you,
yeah,
the faster they're going to say yes. You give someone a 10-page PDF to fill out, or honestly, a one-pager to fill out, and they don't get to it, they're going to push that meeting. They're going to push that opportunity. And then it becomes like this weird power struggle, whereas it's really not about them having a lack of need or want or seriousness. We just all tend to be pretty task heavy, which is why hiring a resource like this, hiring an expert is so necessary to get tasks off your plate, to get redundancies off of the desk, right? So I totally really wanted to reiterate that, because I think oftentimes people like kind of test clients to see how serious they are. But you can do that during your discovery process. You can do that as you're vetting people. And I think you can also do it with like you said, the way you show up.
Well, and it's also about when you allow someone to get that level of access, right? So it's not in the first interaction. If you're telling people on your LinkedIn profile in your about section to book a call with me, like too soon, that screams pitchy Pete. Right.
Yeah, I see that too.
All the time. And it's someone out there, it's a bro marketer strategy kind of thing. And it's just like, here's the thing. At the end of the day, I don't want a resistant client. I don't want to have to convince you. If people are resistant, then they're gonna regret making their investment and they're gonna ask for a refund. I want the resounding, the absolutely resilient. I'm gonna show up, I'm gonna do the work, I'm gonna pay in full because I know I'm gonna get the results, right? And so those are the ones that we want. We want the resounding hells yes, because they're going to be the best clients, because again, they're going to do the work to get the results that you want, which is only better for you because you want to have those case studies and those testimonials. And so one of the things I do is I never overcome an objection. If your objection is it's sunny outside, fantastic, go enjoy the weather. Let's keep in touch. I am not here to overcome an objection. There's only one person I've ever regretted not overcoming an objection with, and that's too much of a exception versus rule. And so, yeah, it's like a mini skirt. Just because you can close someone doesn't mean you should, right? And so being responsible around what are your qualifiers? Do you have enough of a pipeline? Because that's, to me, indicates that there's not enough of a pipeline. If you're taking clients that aren't your most idealist clients, then you don't have enough of a pipeline, which means you have a marketing problem. You're not attracting enough of the right people, which means not enough people know you exist, which means that you're not doing your job effectively and consistently. It's all tied together. Everything connects to each other. And where the problem is shows me where the clog in the pipeline or their process flow is. And it shows me exactly where you need to be putting your attention. I was talking to clients this morning and I said, if you don't love your offer, if you don't love how you're doing your marketing, if you don't love your ideal clients, then you are not going to be consistent. You're not going to do the marketing. You're not going to do the work. And you're going to find a lot of stuff to keep you busy. And then you're going to bitch and complain that you're not getting results. That is all in your control. You want to make sure that you're loving your offer, that you love who you're working with, that you love giving them the support and helping them get the results. If those things aren't happening for you, then you're off and you will not be successful as you could be if those things were way more in alignment. And yes, you can have fun, you can laugh, you can enjoy the process. And I am not here to say that you can hit an easy button. Sorry, you got to do the work. There's 100% of work that needs to happen. And if you're not doing it, then someone on your team or someone that you've outsourced to, like you, Jen, that is doing the work for you. But bullshit on 4-day work weeks unless you've got a team that's doing the work for you. So be careful of people promising and only marketing a certain lifestyle without showing results and client case studies and being able to show the proof in the pudding.
Yeah, there's so many people who are doing this and they're so deeply out of alignment with the promises that they are promising to deliver and what is actually happening. And it's all this like smoke and mirrors. And what that does is that muddies the water, right? Like no one trusts anyone because of that. And so I think you're right. When you can show up authentically and really as yourself and let people see you, they're going to see if you're full of shit.
Right.
And they're also going to see if you're going to deliver, but also having the success metrics, having the value proposition, having, you know, the stories, the case studies behind you,
right,
to show proof of concept is super important as well. You said something about, I wanted to circle back to this. You said something earlier about basically all these people in your pipeline, they haven't said no to you. And I think this is a huge place that people really miss a lot of opportunities.
Oh yeah. I've built most of my business turning no's into yeses.
Right.
I don't, okay, so here's the thing.
Or hold on, or no's into not nows, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's every no, basically, unless someone tells you to fuck off.
Right.
Right. A no is a not now. So if they are still on your list, if they're showing up in your community, there's still hope, right? Let's just say it that way. But basically, unless someone tells you to take a long walk off a short pier, then you keep following up. Because here's the thing, not everybody's going to buy, right? There are 3 kinds of people that you absolutely want to collect and have as part of your community. Yes, it's clients. Absolutely. Why not? Right? Like we'd be dumb not to. But the other 2, because we don't want to just think about the transaction, meaning it's not just about the credit card swipe. We have to look at the opportunity. And so what we want to look for too are 2 other kind of people. 1, collaborators, and 2, connectors. So clients, connectors, and collaborators. These are the people that can connect you to your next opportunity, including your clients. Now, if you have the systems and processes in place in your business, then you can turn opportunity into revenue. Get me on a podcast, connect me with someone there. Then those people who listen will opt into my thing and I have a system and a process to convert them. Fine, let's cross collaborate like we're doing right now, right? And so some people from your community will come over to mine. Some of my people from my community will go over to you and opportunity presents itself. And then each one of those people is one of those 3 things, if not multiple of them. And the thing is our marketing, so long as it's effective, which it should be, is either repelling or attracting the right kind of people. And so birds of a feather flock together. The other thing that I see people really making things harder on themselves is that, especially as women, I'm just going to call it out, is that we ask absolutely 0. And what I mean is it's not always about asking for referrals. 3% of people are going to buy. That is statistically proven. You can talk to 100 people and 3% of them are getting ready to buy. Right? Or in that place of where they're problem and solution aware. That means that 97% of the time you're going to hear no. So think about how many sales calls you've had and how many times you've had no. You're probably statistically doing better than most other people, but you're, giving yourself a hard time because you feel like you're hearing no all the time. You're going to hear no a lot more than you're going to hear yes. However, Can you hear no in the background and hear the yeses actively while you're on the call and help the no's getting ready to become yeses? That's what firework experiences does. It's not a piece of content isn't going to do the conversion. They need to be in your ecosystem. If not, you're preparing them to buy from someone else.
I
And so
love
that
this.
intentionality needs to be there. That's the strategy behind the strategy.
I love this because, like you said before, and I say this often, if I'm not a hell yes, let's make it a no for now.
Right.
Right? I want people where I am like absolutely all in. Let's do this.
Yep.
But just because someone isn't saying that to you doesn't mean they shouldn't still be in your world. I'm going to ask you because I want to make sure we get to these. I've got 3 questions that I ask every guest. I think the first 2 are going to be pretty obvious, but humor me and go through them with me. The first question I have for you is how does your expertise in firework experiences bring more revenue into a business?
I think it's beyond just the revenue, it's the ease of what's happening. Right. And so I can hustle and make more revenue. That's not a problem. That's not how I want to live. And
Mhm.
so I think it's the revenue, comma, and right. It's the revenue and having it happen in that flow state. So it's what I call putting strategic effort into creating the ease. There's no easy button, but if you are intentional and strategic, it's not about working smarter because that whole work smarter, not harder, that assumes that you're dumb. Most people I interact with are not dumb. They just haven't been strategic with where they're putting their effort. And so the firework experience helps generate more revenue from that strategic angle of looking at how to be able to leverage yourself more effectively and help other people do your lead generation for you for free while building a community of people becoming ready to buy. And so it's the revenue and how I'm building a business I love versus one that I resent.
I love that. I love that because that's the flow you're talking about. It's something that you're looking forward to. I look
Yeah,
forward to this hour
right.
every single week.
So then it's just
Whether I made a
optimization,
dollar
right?
or not,
Yeah.
truly,
Yeah.
I look forward to this because I love, and the whole idea of it, I think the reason it works so well is because the whole integrity, the whole intention behind it was to do just this, bring on incredible people who have incredible solutions and teach other people other ways that they can grow their businesses.
Yeah. It's a conduit component, right? And so I
Right.
have a monthly networking mixer that I host. It's free as well. And for me, it's if I'm not your solution, right? Then can I connect you to the right person and being that conduit? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, what happens is I've deposited karmically into your bank account
Yeah.
with goodwill, with good information, with good connections. And ultimately, who are you either going to refer or who are you going to come back to when you are ready to buy? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of us who have referred people that we've never worked with, but we
Mhm.
don't refer someone out who treats us like shit. And so we
Right.
need to really think about not just looking at, oh, you didn't buy from me, go away, get out of my world. It's okay, you didn't buy from me, that's okay. How can I convey the value of what I do so that when you hear someone who does need my services, you're so excited to connect them to me because you know I am one of the best options out there for that person.
Yeah. I think that's about, for us anyway, being a resource, like, and being willing and like able, but really wanting to be a resource for people.
Yeah. It's that
Whether it,
master connector of just
mm,
the joy. If you are someone who has a joy in connecting people for the sheer joy of it, and it's not like the affiliate thing where you're constantly hunting for that
mm-mm,
payout. If there is one, fantastic. If there isn't one, I'd still do it, right? I'd
right.
still want to connect because amazing people need to know each other. I think that if you have that energy, you actually have a competitive edge when it comes to sales. You can make your sales process so much easier by leveraging your natural talents. And I actually have a 5 buyer types structure because a lot of us, because this goes in that sense of a lot of us tend to sell the way that we buy. And so what happens
Yeah.
is that we end up alienating 4 other types of buyers in that. So if we only sell the way that we buy, then we are basically turning off a whole community of people because we're not accommodating our sales process to match their buying styles. And then we might get frustrated with that person because they're not making a decision. Well, they were never going to be that person because that's not who they are. And so if we understand and can recognize these types beforehand, then we can actually accommodate every single type through the process we take someone through. And there's ways of fast tracking things. And the people that are what I say producers and directors can fast track that. But then you also have given them the information they need at the time that they need it. And yes, there is
In the
one
way
process
they can
someone
receive it,
exactly.
right?
And there's
Yeah,
a way to bring every single one of those buyer types through the same process, letting them tune into the information they want when they want it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. Um, Next question is, how are you a disruptor in your space?
I mean, come on.
Right?
Everything, right? Like fuck bro marketing. Now, here's the thing. Let me caveat this with the strategies that a lot of bro marketers use aren't always bad. It's the manner and the intent in which they are used.
Yeah,
So will I use persuasive language? Absolutely. Not to manipulate. What I'm trying to do is get people to neutral. I'm not trying to push you in one emotional direction or another. I'm trying to get you to a place where you can make a heart mind connection and say, this makes sense. This also feels good. Right. So
yeah.
it's not this, oh, this makes sense, but oh my God, like I feel so shitty about this decision, but my mind is pulling me over here. This is about moving your whole self with the decision. That's the hell's yes energy, is
Yeah.
you feel so compelled to do it. And so we want to help people step into that empowered decision making by bringing them down to neutral, not punching them in the face with the pain, but by helping them connect to the possibility of what it looks like to solve the problem.
You know, this also reminds me of the way that we talk about creating aligned psychographics for our
Yes.
clients.
Yes.
Because you're right. For me, I always say an aligned psychographic is when you have someone who has a problem that they acknowledge and you have the solution. So that's like your surface level fit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then below the surface, when the heart and the head are both there is values alignment.
Yes.
There
Right.
is an aligned psychographic, whatever that is. That's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So I encourage you all, along with what Kat's saying, is to figure out who are your people? What are the psychographics? For us, they're disruptors.
Yeah.
And most importantly, if they're not disruptors, they are not for us.
Right.
Right? If someone is like, oh, I'm not interested in disrupting my industry, I'm not interested in that word, and I'm resisting all change, and
Right.
that they self-select right out.
Yep.
And that's a blessing.
Yeah. And
Right?
one of the things that I see a lot of people doing really bad with their marketing is they haven't learned to productize their offer. What I mean is what you want to do is beyond just niching. The thing is that and what I love about the disruptor category is that it totally fits this because disruptor transcends any kind of niche. It's not just someone in STEM. It's not just a CEO. It's not just a startup, right? It's not just an entrepreneur or an employee. It encapsulates all of those things. And so at the end of the day, people are not conveying the problem that they solve. And so they say, oh, I'll help you get clear. I'll help you get confident, right? I'll help you feel better about yourself. That means something to somebody different every single time. And so at the end of the day, do you know how to talk about what you do in a way that's tangible? In a way that makes someone feel that they're going to have something in their hands. So, I talk about how I give my clients 2,000 templates. You're always going to know how to go from talking about the weather to whether you should work together. That weather to weather turn of the conversation is the process that you need to document to help duplicate success, to help set someone up like you even more. If someone were to come to you and say, hey, this scripting modality and this firework experience helps me generate leads, I'm going to give it to you. How much easier would your job be to get them results? How much faster would you be able to book appointments and all this other stuff if they came to you with a process that was already documented, right? It's that versus, okay, what are you doing with your marketing? Well, I'm doing this sometimes and sometimes I do this, but there's no consistency. And well, how do you convert them, in terms of getting them onto a call over Messenger? Well, sometimes I say this, but actually I don't really know. But I got to go find that thing that I said 2 months ago. Hold on. It's going to take me 2 hours to go find it. Well, shit, I can't find it, but I know it was really good. But now I feel really stressed that I can't figure it out. No, you have to document your whole process. You cannot delegate failure. You cannot delegate inefficiency because what's going to happen is you're going to duplicate it or you're going to pay someone to learn on your dollar. And most of us don't have the savings or the bandwidth to allow for someone to learn on our dollar. They need to be productive immediately. And so we, as the business owner, need to set up whoever we engage for success. But if we haven't documented what success looks like in the first place and created consistency and repeatability, then yeah, you're shooting yourself in the foot. This is about ultimate ownership. everyone is always complaining about how this contractor did this, or that person did that, or this coach did this. But do you look at your responsibility in allowing that person to step into your business and support you effectively?
Right.
So like it is about ultimate ownership. It's about discipline. It's about commitment. It's about consistency. All of those things are driven from the CEO. So whether you have a team or not, it's still relevant because the team takes leadership direction from the CEO. How are you showing up? Or are you just trying to wash your hands because you think that you're supposed to have an easy lifestyle? You can make it easier. You can be in flow, but it takes action, intention, and processes and systems. You can't win the lottery if you don't go buy the ticket, if you don't get off your ass and go claim it, or if you don't watch the TV. There is a lot of action that is required in order to win the lottery.
And you know what? I used to say I'm woo adjacent, but you guys, I'm woo. I am there. I am all about, the fact that we are manifesting, whether we know it or not, whether we're doing it consciously or not, we are constantly manifesting our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I did it for years before with some pretty shitty things, and I'm doing it now with some much better things. So if we're doing it anyway, we might as well be pretty
Paris
conscious.
Olympics 2024.
Right? We might as well be conscious about it. So with that said, like a lot about manifestation and bringing in the things that you are, visualizing is about holding the vision, but then taking inspired action.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think a firework experience really is it is inspired action. It's not just action. It's not just throwing shit at the wall to see what's
that inspired, strategic, yes, intentional, purpose-driven action that's in alignment with your values, your core being, who you are as a person. It's like doing this every week for you. It like you said, it excites you, it sparks you. Well, what's going to happen is anybody who joins, anybody who watches the replay, anybody who watches a clip will feel that energy. We've all been and experienced situations where we're like, something feels off, even though that person might have been just super excited and talking like this and being all over the place and overly friendly, right? But you're like, right? Like you can't put your finger on it. So there's a lot of energy that gets conveyed, especially in your marketing. I remember once in the very beginning of my business, I did a 5-day challenge. Don't do a 5-day challenge. It very rarely works. It does work. There's no strategy that's dead. I'm not here to be a bro marketer. Every strategy works. It's just whether it works for your ideal client, whether it works for you.
Sure.
Both of those things need to be in play. So I did a 5-day challenge and I put all this effort and I clicked all the boxes and I had all the social media and the emails and the sales copy and all the things. And it was actually pretty smart. And there's even content that I'm still using from that process. And there were 0 buyers. So I went out to one person who had seen the sales page a couple of times. And I said, hey, like we know each other. Can you give me some direct feedback? And she goes, absolutely. And I go, you went to the page. I could see it in the tech, hashtag creepy. Why didn't you buy? And she goes, it was the right words. The experience was good. I liked what you were saying, but she's like, I just couldn't shake this sense of desperation. And I was like, fuck, because it was true.
Yeah.
I was so hungry to close something and so desperate and so needy that even though I was putting on a brave face and I was doing all the things I was supposed to, it still was energetically being conveyed.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing that's more client attractive than being confident. And so what's the objection? I'm not confident in my, I'm not confident. I'm not confident. I'm not a confident person. My retort to that is you're pretty confident in your lack of confidence. You tell me you don't have the time, you're committing a lot of time to not having time.
Right.
You're telling me that you don't have something, then you're spending a lot of effort, energy, and probably money in not having something. So you really need to look at what are you committed to, and can you redirect that energy to support you and be the wind in your sails versus be the thing that's preventing you from making progress.
This just came about for me recently. Every once in a while, I'm like, when it comes to follow-up, I'm a pro.
Fierce. I mean, and in all the best complimentary ways.
Yes. I am.
Right.
And that works against me sometimes. So I've had some situations before where I talk to someone, we have the conversation, they say, yeah, man, I love this. Call me back in 6 months. Right. And I do. To the day, I do.
Yeah.
And then guess what you hear? Oh man, I'm still in the middle of this and I'm still trying to decide on this. And I'm still trying to call me back in 6 months. And you do. And then what I finally realized is when you get to that conversation where you followed up with someone twice now and they've kind of kicked the can down the road, um, what you just said, they're so committed to the reasons they can't do something
Mhm.
that the alignment is just not going to be there. And
And so
it's not
even
that
if you
you,
overcome the objection, and I've had this exact scenario, this
yeah,
exact same thing, and it was a miserable experience. And even though the client made a ton of money, right, in working through the process, I just every time it was this energy, right? And every time
right,
I had to lift her back up and re-engage her and rejuvenate her.
yeah,
And did I make it my problem? Yeah, right. And I shouldn't have, because that was the energy she came into it with. And that's why I don't want a resentful yes, because they're not going to do the work. They're going to be a drag on your energy. And so for me, it's like believe people's actions and not always what they're saying. Right. And
exactly.
so if they're
That's
saying, call me in
exactly
six
it.
months, okay, I'll call you in 6 months, but be super unattached. And then this is not to you, because I know you know this is to
Right,
people listening. If someone, basically until they tell you to, F off, right? Like you can keep following up, because who knows what will shift and change. And maybe they'll go work with someone else and then they'll become ready, right? It doesn't mean it's not worth following up. The other thing too is, what's the interaction between the 6 months? And this is more for, I mean, I know your system is down pat, but like, what are those things that can you provide them an experience that helps them again prioritize this as
right,
the thing they want to focus on, or help them see that this is not their priority and let them release that. This is about letting people own their voice. If that person can't say no, that is their problem, not yours. And so if you're getting triggered, right, and you're listening to this and you're getting triggered by all the no's and all the not nows, that's on you. You're not getting referrals. That's on you. You're
mhm,
not getting the yeses. That's on you. You got to look at your marketing. You got to look at your offer. You got to look at how you're talking about the value. And here's the thing, you're probably not going to figure it out on your own. And I'm sorry if you've made investments and people have conned you,
mhm,
but you also know that you're probably dealing with people bringing that same baggage to your sales conversations. So look at how you're showing up in the world. How are you engaging with people? Are you saying no all the time? Then you might be attracting a bunch of people saying no to you. And it
right,
doesn't mean that you have to say yes all the time either. It's not about mortgaging your house to be able to pay for every single investment. It does not make sense to work with 3 different coaches at the same time. Maybe 2 that complement each other. Maybe you have a copywriter person and like a funnel person, or maybe you have like a mindset person and a strategy person, like complement and work each other. But at the end of the day, you're the boss. You're the CEO, you're the visionary, and you make the decisions. And so stop being a victim of your business and start creating something that you love. Because at the end of the day, this is your life. And if you're not enjoying the process, that sucks. And that's unfortunate.
and I think that's it, making the decisions, taking action, moving forward in one way or another.
Oh, and have the
Me,
breakdowns. Quit for the day. I've done it. I've said,
yeah,
fuck it. I quit for today. And I've walked away from my computer and I've called my assistant and been like, I'm done. I'm off. And there she's like, her response is always, cool, cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Right. And
yeah,
it's just like, it's that. But like, give it a time frame and then get back to it. And you're figuring it out. Give yourself some grace and space.
yeah,
Okay, fine. Go look
absolutely.
at the employment opportunities, but then come back because you know
Oh,
you're unemployable,
no, thank
right?
you. I am the
Like
worst employee. No way.
horrible.
No one would want to hire me.
And so
Um,
the ROI in going and closing your next client is significantly higher than trying to go and do all the applications and the job interviews at the same time. And so, but you choose. Not everybody can make it. Not everybody is meant to be an entrepreneur. It's okay. You also have to be financially responsible.
right. Right. But what you're talking about, taking the action and maybe go in and you invest in yourself. That's why no one's investing in you. I've always found that when I invest in my business, in myself personally,
Yeah.
somehow you're right, not being irresponsible, but like the unit, when it is an aligned decision, the universe organizes
Hmm.
to work for you. It works out. You get a referral in that you didn't, your client comes around and says, hey, okay, I'm ready to go now. Let's do this. Like it always comes together. It
Yeah.
always comes together.
So the term for
It,
that is pronoia. So a lot of people have paranoia and they lean into why and being victims. And look, everybody has their trauma, little T's, big T's. Your trauma is
Mhm.
your trauma. Someone's had it worse, someone's had it better. It doesn't matter. Your experience is your experience. And how do you want to move forward? How do you want to be versus how you've been? I love tapping into my higher self, the person that's already achieved this, even the person in an alternative universe that is currently in the same time and moment, exponentially more successful than I am right now. And how would that person be? How do they show up? And helping realign and connect to that. And so really looking at, all right, so a client quits, someone doesn't pay, the people didn't show up, the technology flubbed, the flight got canceled, blah, 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 whatever. The check didn't come clear through, the credit card got declined. There's so many things that happen in business, right?
Right.
And it's like, where's the gift in this? That's pronoia.
Yeah.
How is all of this in support of me? Okay, so this client did this or blah, blah, blah. Great. Now I know that I don't want more of that kind of client. So what was the thing that I let slip? What was the orange or yellow flag that was actually just a red flag that had been hanging out in the sun too long? Right? What did I allow to come? What did I tolerate? Where did I not set expectations? What could I do better next time? Maybe I did everything right and I just want a different version next time. How am I showing up? Am I going out there networking? Am I connecting? Am I doing coffee chats? If you are not fully booked, then you open up your calendar and you start having conversations.
Yeah.
If you've been impressed with the things that I've said, it's because I've had a million different conversations. I am the queen of the one-liners. Why? Because I'm always engaging and figuring out what's going to hit. What is that marketing angle? And most people don't have a brain like mine where I can see the patterns and the things, and it's why they engage me to help them create that for their business.
Dewey agrees with you.
Preach.
The joys of working from home. Okay, I'll ask you my last question, which is really the most we get the most feedback on this one. People love this question because it is so tangible, right? I've done like 20 of these episodes and this dog has never been a part of it. So that's gotta be
It's the cat
he's
energy.
spirit animal. Yeah, he's your spirit animal, exactly. All right. Kat, what's the number one thing that we can do today with 30 minutes this afternoon
Follow up.
to drive more revenue to our businesses with this information?
Follow up. Literally. So I have a concept that I call the minimum viable day. Minimum viable day consists of 5 things. It's connections, conversations, close, piece of content, and looking at your visibility activity. So, getting booked on a podcast, booking, reaching out and applying for a speaking gig. We're looking at connecting with people, having that conversation, making an offer, and that piece of content. Now you can batch these things or whatever it is, but these things have to happen on a regular basis. If you're going to do one thing today to move your business forward, go make an offer. There is someone out there who is close. I have something called the conversion target, the conversion bullseye, if you will. People that you're not connected to. This is LinkedIn. Those are the holes on the wall from the target you've been trying to throw, right? And so what we want to do is get someone on the target, right? So that's that connection. That's that first ring. But that's not enough. You're not at the bullseye yet. The bullseye is where the person becomes a client. We need to have things in place to move them closer to the bullseye. That's where firework experience comes into place because it helps it happen faster. So you could go from connection to client fast with one firework experience, just like you can close someone, a stranger in a room when you're speaking, because it's so powerful that they're ready and they want to buy. But that's not everybody. And we can't run our business by the exceptions. And so what do we have that's consistently pulling people to the target, to the bullseye? And so looking at, all right, now that I'm in conversation, are you keeping it superficial? Are you talking about the weather? Or are you talking about whether you should work together? So look at what you're resisting. That will tell you exactly where to focus. If you've been keeping it superficial, man, what's that? From the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, tits up, right? Like, you've got some big ovaries. Women are the only ones that have ever grown balls because we've grown men in our bodies. They've never grown their own. So when people say grow a pair of balls, I have a son. And so have you. So like use whatever energy that you want. Is it feminine and is it masculine? Doesn't matter. But be willing to advocate for that person you think is so amazing. Don't go pitch somebody for the sake of pitching them. Find the awesome. Who is it that you like? Look at my hands. Like, I want to get my hands in your business. I want to engage with you. So let me claim you. There is somebody you're probably thinking of that you have claimed energetically and that you have not conveyed that to them. And so maybe that's the first step, is saying, hey, look, I know you may not be ready right now, but I just want to let you know, I want to get my hands in your business without being creepy about it. Right. And look
Right.
at how can you
I
follow
love
up,
that.
and
I
start
love that.
engaging them with that. And it doesn't have to take a million back and forth,
Yeah.
but are you willing to be brave enough to ask for what you want because you know you can help that person? It's not from this, I want your money. That's great. It's going to happen. Know and trust that. But it's about finding the awesome. So who is that person that you've been tiptoeing around, that you haven't really kind of gotten brave for? And get brave, because that's how high ticket sales are done. They're done in conversation, not hiding behind a sales page, not hiding behind DMs. Have a real conversation and see and make sure you're conveying that value. And so looking at that is, you probably have a bunch of people that you've connected with, you probably haven't followed up with. One of the beauty of this entire process is it's not about generating a bunch of new leads. It's about activating all the fucking effort you've already put into your business. You have a network of people who could probably refer you. Have you asked them for referrals? Do you have something worth sharing that they can refer someone into? Because only 3% of people are ready to buy. So are you allowing them to share something with the other 97%? Hey, you guys need to know each other. Jennifer hosts this Disruptor thing. You might be a great guest. I'm going to let her judge on that, but I'm just trying to slide it in there just in case, right? Me being humorous.
Absolutely.
But
No,
you
I mean,
have
being a
something I can share
resource.
with someone who may not be ready to buy from you, but who I just know you need to connect with. I know you know what to do with that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So are you allowing people to connect you to opportunity by asking? And that's what I would say is start asking, whether it's to be on their podcast, whether it is to connect you to a podcast they've been on, whether it's to have them buy from you or make an introduction to a high level CEO that you want to get connected to. But go ask.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Kat, if you would drop your contact information in the chat, please, while I talk about next week, I would appreciate it. But seriously, we could have done this for hours. I actually have some ideas that I've been thinking of as you're like going, and we're going to be taking this offline as well. So thank you for your incredible wisdom. Thank you also for your friendship and your camaraderie since truly we've known each other. We've had some similar paths and some similar experiences professionally and personally, and
Yeah.
having you in my corner has always just meant the world to me. So thank you for that. Guys, next week we have Hillary DeCesar from the Relaunch Co. She is incredible. She's going to be talking about women specifically, but she's got a whole community of women who are relaunching professionally or personally at some place in their lives, and how to do that with bravery, with success, and with all of the energy that it takes to really step into that next chapter of your life. I certainly have relaunched before, Kat. I know you have as well. And it's definitely something you guys would want to be a part of. Hillary's amazing, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So again, thank you, everyone. I hope you had the most wonderful day. Kat, we will talk very soon. Thank you.